Are you a busy woman who prioritizes everyone else's health above your own? Do you have questions about your diet, exercise, or how to prevent or treat certain health conditions? Are you always Googling health questions that you forget to ask or are embarrassed to ask your primary care physician? Girl, do you even have a primary care physician? Well, welcome to Headed to Healthier. I'm Dr. Brittany Anderson, a board-certified family medicine physician, and every day in my private practice, I have discussions with women just like you who are doing their best to juggle the demands of life while also desiring to become healthier. Inside this podcast, you'll find practical and actionable health tips that you can incorporate into your daily life. You'll get expert advice and insight from some of my awesome healthcare colleagues, and you'll hear relatable conversations with incredible women just like you who have made their health a priority and are thriving because of it. So throw on your sneakers and get some steps in while you listen. Or if you're driving, get those hands at 10 and 2 and let's dig in. We are headed to healthier. Hey ladies, welcome back to today's episode. I'm so excited today to be joined by Dr. Babalola. She is a physician who practices lifestyle medicine with a focus on women's health, obesity, and menopause. So welcome to today's show. I'm so excited to have you here. I gave just the briefest of introductions. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Anderson. I appreciate this opportunity to be on your platform. And so, yes, as you mentioned, my name is Dolapo Babalola. I am a family physician with additional training in lifestyle, obesity, and menopause. I'm also the owner of Living at Your Finest Wellness, which is a membership-based, holistic, and integrative direct primary care practice in Marietta, Georgia. So I'm really thrilled to be here. I'm always excited when we talk about, women, how can we live at our finest well-being? So let's go. I'm happy.
Awesome. Well, it's so great to have you here. Let's just jump right into it. And I want to combine your certifications and your special training, right? And so I'm a family medicine doc too, just like you are, but you have some additional training where you really focus a lot on women's health, on obesity, and on menopause and perimenopause. One of the things that I hear women, my patients, even, friends, family members who are in their 40s and 50s say is that they have such a harder time losing weight once they hit 40, right? That it was easier to lose weight, of course, when we were in our 20s and 30s, but all of a sudden it's like we hit 40. For some women, maybe it's 45, for some it's 50, but whatever that magic number is, we hit it and it's just so much harder to lose weight. We know that that is not just about willpower, but that there really are some biological changes that happen during this time in life that make it truly harder to manage our weight. So let's start there. Tell us what your thoughts are on that and kind of what makes it harder or not as easy to lose weight when we hit 40.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. When I was told a few years ago that the moment you hit that 40, they tell you life begins at 40, and I was like, yes, excited. But they said, beware, all things begin to fall apart. I was like, no way, it's not possible. But it really is a real thing. So it's the hormone shift that happens when you turn 40 for three main reasons. Your estrogen, your progesterone for women begins to fluctuate, right? So this fluctuation during perimenopause, and perimenopause just really means around menopause, which is usually between that 45 and 55. And we do have some much earlier than that. And with this changes happening, there's fat deposition, especially in the belly area. So even if you were eating the same way that you used to eat, nothing major changed because of the fluctuation in your estrogen and your progesterone. There's all that fat deposition. Testosterone is also another reason why you will notice a lot of weight gain. What's happening is that with the lack of testosterone or the decline of testosterone, we're reducing our lean muscle, right? So it declines
Mhm.
gradually, the lean muscle mass. And then insulin and cortisol with not sleeping as well, stress, we're at that sandwich age, right? You're taking care of kids and then your and your own parents, aging parents. A lot is going on. And with that insulin, we have insulin resistance and further fat storage. Cortisol will deposit more fat in the abdominal area. So pretty much hormones play a big role. Those three main things are the big reasons why we have a lot of changes in the body.
Yeah, and you're right. You hit on absolutely what women will generally tell me their concerns about. Is just that fat that comes in the kind of lower abdominal
Mm,
area. So that certainly we hear a lot, or at least I hear a lot from women. And then you hit also on muscle loss and just kind of that
mm.
change in our muscle mass. And, question for you, do you believe that metabolism is really slowing down and that's why it's harder to lose weight? Or is it other things like muscle loss that's playing a big role in it?
Yeah, great question. So when it comes to muscle, muscle by itself is a metabolism driver, okay? So it's like sponging, helping to burn calories. So when we age, anywhere from 30, studies have shown that we lose 3 to 8% of our muscle per decade. Now
Oh, I did not know
imagine,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
3 to
Mhm,
8% after 30. And so
mhm,
every decade, and imagine the age, like I told you, the perimenopause age, right? 45 to 55. It even escalates there. So that's one main reason. If it's a metabolic driver, we're losing muscle. If you don't use it, you lose it. And you
mhm.
don't have that drive to burn the calories. But even more than that, we have a slower resting metabolism, which means fewer calories are burned at rest. Okay, so all of those factors. So building and preserving muscle is so key, and especially after 40. So it's a
Mhm.
combination, to answer your question, it's a combination of that. It's the slower metabolism, the muscle loss going on. It all together adds up to just the weight gain in spite of whether you're eating the same way or not.
Is there anything that you tell women that can help increase their metabolism? Or, in addition to that, what kinds of things do you usually recommend to patients that they could perhaps do to increase their muscle mass since that loss is happening already regardless?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's the awareness, and that's why I applaud you for this podcast that you have. Building the awareness is knowing. If you know better, you do better. When I was in my 30s, as much as I love to work out, I'll do more cardio, and I wasn't doing so much
Mhm.
as weights because I was like, I don't want to be bulky. I already feel muscular as it is. But understanding what happens to my body as I get older, then that definitely helps me to know what to do, how much to do. So certainly one is making sure that even if it's your own body weight, just do more, strength training and gradually advance that. So that's certainly one that has helped me and has helped my patients. So doing more strength training, the recommendation is about 30 minutes, 3 days a week. And then your protein, how much protein you're eating. There's a calculation that, broad terms, if you're already an active person, it's about 1 pound per gram. If you're not as active, 0.8. And then if you're very active, is 1.2. So an average of 100 grams for women. And it's hard. So I won't make it seem like it's easy, but we strive to do better. So that's what I usually tell patients. And then another thing is sleep, because when we sleep between the hours of 10 and 12 midnight, growth factor is at its highest peak, and that helps with muscle preservation, muscle building, all those things definitely helps to promote more muscle so that you're not losing it. It certainly slows down the decline of muscle loss.
Gotcha. Will you repeat that for me? Did you say that it's usually 100 grams of
Yes,
protein?
an average. So an average of 100 grams at average for women. So when we talk about how much protein should I have, it's estimated that you at least for every pound, it's 1 gram of protein. That
Okay.
is 1 to 1. If you're just, in terms of your activity, average activity, if you're sedentary, then we say zero point 0.8
Gotcha.
grams per pound. But if you're someone that is an athletic person, those are the people that you will see them saying they're eating about 200 grams of protein.
Uh-huh.
That's a lot. So I
Uh-huh.
always say not to make it complicated, at least anywhere from 90 to 100 grams of protein. So what would that look like? So let's say, I'm eating 2 or 3 times a day. If every meal I try to get about 30 to 35 grams of protein. And
Gotcha.
then in between, I'm very intentional about what I'm eating. Does it have enough protein? Because if you're doing the strength training, you need to rebuild that muscle with protein, right? Because protein is our building block. So all of that really helps. I've had in my practice, I have an in-body scan, which we use to monitor protein, and that has made a big difference for me. It's not just going on a scale and looking at the number, but what composition of that number is muscle. Because if you have less muscle, you're not going to have that metabolism driver, right? And that helps to burn calories while you're at rest. So you can do all the cardio you want, but
Mhm.
when you're sitting down, you're not burning anything. But if you build muscle, muscle is a sponge. It's helping to burn. It's a metabolic organ, let's call it that. So that's usually the way that I've seen, and scientific, just following the science, that is what has been proven to work well.
Awesome. I love that. And I love how you bring up not just wanting to get the cardio in. So many times we think, all right, I'm going to go walking every day for 45 minutes to an hour, or going to start running and run every day. But really, in addition to that cardio, I love how you stress the importance of doing that strength training too. And to your point, strength training doesn't mean that you have to go and be lifting, your body weight at the gym, but really just getting in some regular kind of strength training exercises that you can do to help build that muscle mass. So that's great. How do you encourage your patients to do that in practice? I think sometimes patients get a little bit burned out with us telling them, all the things. It's eat better, more fruit and vegetables, drink more water, go exercise, all these things. Any tricks that you've learned that
I
you
know
that
it's a
work for
lot,
you?
right? It's a lot. Well, listen, I'm telling you from experience, human beings, that all or nothing mentality
Yes.
or going from
Mhm.
0 to 100, very
Mhm.
quickly we can burn ourselves out. I've been there where, I want to do everything. And then halfway I'm like, you know what? I'm tired. I'm not
No.
even doing anything. I'll just settle with what I know, even if it's not their best. And then we settle with that. So how do I encourage my patients? Same thing that I've done, little steps. If all you can do is 5 minutes or 5 reps, do it. It adds up. You don't have to always do, even though the goal is 20, 30 minutes, right? But start somewhere. So that's what I always encourage. Just start somewhere. 5 reps, like, if maybe you're watching TV in the evenings, you have your weights there or your bands, right? Just do some reps. It all adds up. I'm really a big believer in habit stacking. So I do like things that I naturally do and I don't have to think about it. I combine it with other things. Like for instance, when I'm brushing my teeth, I do squats, right? I do 20. If I go to the restroom, after drinking my water, these are things that have paired together. I do squats or I do lunges, calf raises. At the end of there's a study that came out recently that every 45 minutes, if you do like some calf raises or some squats, it's actually equivalent to walking. And, so there are things that you can do to incorporate into your busy lifestyle so that you don't always feel like, oh my goodness, I'm so pressed for time. If I can't get an hour, then forget it. So those are some of my tricks that has worked for me and some of my patients. And when they come back in 30 days and we look at the in-body, they've increased in their muscle mass and they've seen the percentage body fat go down. So really the little things add up. Consistency is really key. It's not perfection, progress over perfection.
Right. And I love that. And I know it's so cool for your patients that you have that machine there that allows them to really see that change and see it in real time. So
Yeah.
often when we make these changes, if we don't have something that really gives us those numbers there, or for a lot of women, if we don't see numbers changing on the scale, then we think, okay, I incorporated these things. They're not
Yeah.
working. I may as well go back to what I was doing before.
Yeah.
But I think what I hear you saying is that even if, you're my patient and I don't have that fancy machine in my office, then it's still enough to know in the back of your head that even though they're small changes
Yeah.
that you're making, or changes that seem small to you, that can really have big impact on your health overall. Is that fair to say?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And it's, the non-weight victories, right? The non-weight over the weight victories. It's again, we're human beings. We want to see those numbers change to encourage us, but also pay attention to the non-weight victories. Are you feeling like, for instance, just checking your waist circumference? That would change faster than you would see the number go down on the scale, and your energy level, how you feel after, different activities. So those are also things. So absolutely what you said, well said. Couldn't have said it better.
So I love that using things that are not necessarily looking at numbers on the scale,
Hmm.
anything otherwise, but how you feel, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Folks come back into clinic after we've talked about making some changes, and they'll say, the scale may not show it, but gosh, I'm sleeping better. I have more
Yes.
energy. I can spend more time with my kids without getting
Hmm.
tired or having to go take a nap, those kinds of
Yeah.
things. So even if you don't see those numbers start to change in the way that you want, usually first you'll start seeing that shift in how you
Yeah.
feel through the day, and hopefully that's enough to drive people along. I wanted to talk to you. I know that you do lifestyle medicine, and I love this concept of truly, well-trained physicians doing lifestyle medicine. And I was going to ask you some of the habits that
Yeah.
you encourage your patients to incorporate. And you already started talking about it. I'm about to be in the bathroom doing squats after every time I go go to the bathroom and while I'm brushing my teeth. I love that. And so I think
Yeah.
we covered some of those like, physical things that we can
Yeah.
do or things related to physical changes. Do you have advice that you regularly give to patients or that you found that works for yourself related to our food intake? 'Cause that's a lot of people's problem, right? Is the snacking. Me, if you give me a bag of peanut M&Ms, I'm sorry, they don't stand a chance. So how can I
I
change
love it.
and how can I encourage my patients to make better choices that
Hmm.
are not just, oh, I can do this for a week, but that I can do it for a long time?
Yes, yes, yes. Very. I laugh because you said I'm just like you. Give me a bag of internet. It will just go. So you know what? What does that mean? Willpower over skill power. And
Ah,
I have no willpower when it comes to sweet stuff because I'm a sweet tooth naturally, right? So I focus more on skill power over willpower. So nutrition is the foundation of all of it, right? So again, when it comes to lifestyle medicine, which you mentioned, it's just a medical approach, which is evidence-based using lifestyle habits and our behaviors, right, to overall keep us in optimal health and well-being. All right. So, what does that look like? Several pillars. We already talked about physical activity. Certainly, nutrition is the foundation of it all. So, what do I usually advise? I say really stat simple. It's not about whether you eat meat or you don't eat meat. Focus more on plant-based foods, right? The fiber foods. We eat more fiber, then we're less tempted to eat all those other things. Not just what you eat, but how you eat it, the order in which you eat it. So if you eat your vegetables first and your protein, then it's unlikely that you're going to you're full. I used to eat it the other way around. I'll have my slice of cake first and my M&Ms, and then what happens? Sugar crash, right? But when I find that I eat my vegetables and my protein, I'm full. So I'm not, even if I taste, I'm not talking about restricting, right? I'm
right.
not eating as much of it. So it's skill power. Another thing is out of sight, out of mind. That's the truth. That is just the pure truth. If you don't have that discipline to see something and walk past it continuously, and then eventually you eat it, then just keep it out of the house. Or maybe if you bring it in the house, get a little portion. In my house, we share the calories and then we toss the rest. Okay. The food might look good, but it does the body no good. A lot of inflammation in processed foods. So that's usually what I encourage and what I apply in my own life. I focus more on nutrient dense foods than calorie empty foods. Not that I don't eat the calorie empty, but I eat the nutrient dense first. And
Mhm.
then I make sure that I keep anything that is real tempting, like sugary drinks. I will eat the apple over apple juice or, the orange over just all the sugar and just be a label reader, especially if your goal is to be healthier, to feel vibrant. Again, the food, what we eat matters. What's at the end of the fork? So that's really what I focus on. If you can make half your plate vegetables, statistics show that only 3% of the world is actually eating the required amount of
Oh,
fiber, which is
wow.
about,
3%.
yeah,
Wow.
only 3%. So the rest of the 97, yeah, we're not doing as well as we should. And in terms of how much fiber do we need, for women, it's about 28 and men 38. But if we can all aim for at least 40 grams, we will be a lot healthier and less chronic diseases in our world that we live in. And what does 40 gram look like? Just a cup of beans or legume is about 26 grams by itself. So adding the plants, the fiber, anything animal product has no fiber. So if people ask what is your plant-based foods? Anything that is from the soil, right? Minimum, not processed, nothing added, nothing taken away from it.
I love that. You said something so great. The food may look good, but they
It
don't
does.
always do. But the food that, hold on, I'm going to say it right. The food may look good, but not do the body good. And I think
There
that's
you
so
go.
important. Sometimes we eat with our eyes before we ever even,
Mhm.
put it in our mouth, and just remembering that everything that looks good, isn't always good for us, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Well, I love that. I'll ask you as we close, would you share with our women just a general health tip, right? A health tip that you think women over 40 or women who are just busy, right? Who are busy, who are
Mhm.
taking care of lots of folks, may not be 40, maybe in our 20s, 30s, et cetera. But what advice would
Mhm.
you give to women who are saying that they generally just want to be healthier?
Yes, yes. Well, so the advice is again, give yourself grace. It is it is hard. It can be because we're, juggling so many things. So give yourself grace. Start somewhere. Don't, start somewhere and where you start, give yourself time to acclimatize to that habit. Don't try to do so many things at once. And just because somebody's doing something doesn't you don't know their story, you don't know their history. Do what works for your own lifestyle, your own situation. Do what you can do continuously, right? Because there's so many diets, so many things out there. If I say, okay, I want to do Zumba, but I don't like Zumba, that's not gonna, how long am I gonna stay doing that? So it's
Right.
whatever you're gonna continuously do. Like people jump into keto and then all of a sudden they can't do it. And I'm guilty. I've done that before. So
Same.
whatever you can do continuously, because it's a lifestyle, it's a journey. Just give yourself grace, go with it, and get the support that you need. Sometimes we need that community. I mean, well, let me take that back. It's not sometimes. We always need the community, right? But let's do it in a way that, takes our lifestyle into consideration, what our own picture, our home and our environment looks like. But we can all do it. It is possible. If the body is put in the right
Mhm.
place and position, it will heal and feel vibrant and whole.
I love that. That's such great advice. I love following your social media. Will you please tell listeners where they can find you on social media? If they're in your area, tell us a little bit about your practice, just all the things that you're doing. And if it's okay with you, I will tag everything in the show
Yeah.
notes. And I know you have a great podcast, so please go listen to the podcast. Check out her social media, follow along. But yeah, tell us a little bit about where they can find you.
Yeah, thank you. Again, thanks so much, Dr. Addison. I really love that we get this chance to spend this time together. Yeah, so find me on Living at Your Finest Wellness. That's where I am on all social media handles, Instagram, Facebook. I do have a newsletter that goes out, shares tons of health related topics. So please subscribe. It's on Life. So it's LAYF wellness.com. My newsletter is right there. And I have a free ebook that I would love for you to
That's
partake
great.
of all the great resources. And I do have a podcast, as mentioned. It's called Living at Your Finest. And so love for you to tap into that. My practice, we're still open and we are taking new members. It's a direct primary care member where we provide patient-centered personalized care in the Marietta area and surrounding. So if you know of anyone in the area is looking for a physician that will take time to care for them in the most holistic and integrative way, please reach out. I do provide a complimentary meet and greet. So would love to learn more about their healthcare needs and provide support there.
Absolutely. If you are anywhere near the Marietta area, go find Dr. Babalola at her practice. LAYF wellness.com is the website. And so go there, the free resource that you have, the ebook, the online book, and everything, the podcast, the social media handles, it's all wonderful. Thank you again so much for being on the show today. It's been a pleasure having you and talking with you. Ladies, check out the show notes, the links to all of our social media handles and places to find Dr. Babalola will be there. We wish you the best and hope that you've learned something in this episode. I know I certainly have. I'm going to give myself a little bit more grace and I'm going to start doing squats every time I brush my teeth. So we'll work on that as we are all headed to healthier and just get into our overall healthiest. So we'll be here next week. Talk soon. Hey, thanks for listening in today. I hope something you heard in this episode will help you on your journey to becoming healthier. Remember, this podcast offers general health information. I am not your personal physician. If you need advice that is specific to you, be sure to consult your physician. If you enjoy this podcast, please consider sharing it with a friend and reviewing it on Apple Podcasts. Also, be sure to subscribe to the show so you never miss an episode. Tune in next week for another great episode of Headed to Healthier. Until then, take care of yourself. Talk soon. Bye.